Hello everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Is the audio good? So let's start now. What happened? So the same topology. So we'll continue with the same topology. Today also we'll just focus on first six routers only: R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, R6. Right? Uh, Just try to ignore all the remaining routers. Don't try to scare yourself by seeing so many routers. Just focus on the cloud. In fact, today we have to be in the cloud only. So let us continue. So yesterday we are seeing that I purposely created a problem between router 4 and 5. What I had done? Let us see that exactly. First, let us go to R4 and let's see what's the situation with R4. I do show MPLS LDP neighbor. I see how many neighbors? Only R2 I see neighbor. What from this output, what I can understand, R4 is neighbor only with R2, R4 is not neighbor with R5. What could be the reason? Maybe I have not enabled LDP on the link towards R5. So how do I check that? Show run interface E0/1. When I do, what I find? No, I have enabled MPLS on R4. So MPLS is enabled on R4. That means MPL R4 must be sending hellos to R5 UDP hellos. So then why they are not becoming neighbor? Possibly there could be what problem on R5. Maybe on R5 are not configured. So let us now get R5 also next to R4. Let us keep this here. Let's see here now. Show MTLS LDP neighbor. So no neighborship. What possible cause can be what? What could be the cause for this problem? Maybe on R5 I did not enable MPLS on the interface towards R4. Let's see that. So over here also what I find, I have enabled MPLS. That means both R4 and R5 we have enabled MPLS. LDP is enabled. Once LDP is enabled, what has happened? Did LDP generate labels? If you see, LDP table is lib table is already generated. Labels have been already created, right? So R5 label is already there. Maybe somebody says the problem could be what? IPsec. If the problem is of IPsec, then labels would not get generated. But still, let us see. Show run pipe section safe. Let's see. If you see, IPsec is already enabled, because if IPsec is not enabled, then even the labels won't get generated also. LDP won't work also, because IPsec is a requirement. So when I did that show MPLS LDP binding command and output came labels, and we are able to see this proves that safe is enabled. And on R4, it can never be the problem. Safe can never be the problem, because R4 is already having LDP neighborship with R2. So now what could be the problem? What exactly could be the problem? The problem will be what? Let us do a debug. So if I do a debug on R4 now, let us do a debug, or maybe let us do a debug. No, okay, on R5 will do, because if I do debug, then we possibly is what we'll see we see the messages from R2 also. The problem is between 4 and 5. So our focus should be where? Between 4 and 5. So better candidate is what? R5. So debug IP packet detail. Let some traffic get generated, and then we'll see. Okay, some traffic has been already captured. So now I disable the debug on all, and now some people what they do normally, whatever output has come, people copy it some in text editor, and then from there you can monitor, or on the router itself we can monitor. So let us not waste time in doing copying and pasting and checking. Let us try to see on the router itself on R5. So this is the start of the debug. The first packet, if you see what R5 is telling, I'm sending a source 20.5.5.5 destination to R4 4.4.4. What type of packet? TCP packet. What is the application? Destination port is 643. That means this is an LDP handshake. And what type of packet it is? I think it is a SYN packet. Since it is a TCP packet, there you see the three-way handshake. So R5 is sending what? That means this proves that what? Both have received each other's hello. UDP hello has been received. Once the LDP routers, they receive each other's UDP hello, what they do? They try to establish what? TCP neighborship. TCP three-way handshake they try to establish. So R5 is sending what? A TCP SYN packet to R4. Source IP what? 200.5.5.5. Destination is this. So what I will do now, I do a ping. I ping this IP 172.16.4.4. When I do this ping, so if you see that this IP is reachable. But now if I do a ping with source 200.5.5.5, what happens? The packet is not reachable. Why? Because now when I send this packet with this source, see this TCP, it is continuously R5 sending SYN packet, but there is no acknowledged SYN coming back. That means there is three-way handshake failure, TCP failure. The two routers, they are not able to establish a TCP connection. Why? Because R4 does not know who is 200. So when this SYN packet lands on R4, R4 checks. R4 says, okay, I have to now respond back. I have to do what? SYN acknowledgement, right? I have to send what? SYN acknowledgement. So whom should I send? 200. So say, let me see my routing table. Do I know 200? So if you see 200 is nowhere. And that's the reason R4 drops the SYN packet of R5. And that's the reason they're not forming neighborship. Why? Because that IP which R5 is advertising, which R5 is using, is unknown to R4. And what is this IP? This is the router ID. R5 has selected this as the router. Now the question is why R5 has selected this as the router ID. So when we check on R5, we find what? There are two loopbacks on R5. And for router ID, the criteria is what? Highest loopback. Like all routing protocols, the criteria for router ID is what? If multiple loopbacks, highest loopback. So R5 decided this as the router ID, LDP decided this, and that is what this IP is using. What about this IP? Is this IP reachable to R4? Yes. So suppose R5 would have selected this as the router ID, then R5 and R4 would have become what? Neighbor. LDP neighbor. Their neighborship would have got established. So what is the problem now? The router ID of your neighbor is not reachable. So whenever two routers, two LDP routers, if their neighborship is not coming, what is the possibility? Maybe one of the routers, router ID, the IP address of the router ID of your neighbor might be not reachable. So you have to understand this problem. Now the question, once we know the problem, what is the solution? Simple solution is what? R4 does not know. So if R4 knows this IP, then will they form neighborship? Yes. Now the question is how R4 will come to know about 200. R4 will come to know about 200 how? When R5 will advertise it. Where R5 will advertise? In its routing table, in its routing IGP. What is IGP running over here? OSPF. So I go where? 5. I'll go to 5 and then let me see what is the, because I don't know what is the protocol OSPF process number. So I do show IP OSPF show IP protocol. So I see it is OSPF process 1. So now what I should do? Go inside this process router. So this is the first solution I'm showing you. I'll simply do what? Network 200.5.5.5 area. Moment I'll do this, R5 will now advertise like what? Type 1 LSA. It will advertise its own link as what? Type 1 LSA. R4 will receive this type 1 LSA install the route in its routing table. And now you see R4 knows about this route. And if R4 knows, they have already become LDP neighbor. And now if I do show MPLS LDP neighbor, R4 says it is neighbor with whom? 200.5.5.5. So clear? Anytime two routers not become neighbor, try to identify what is the problem. If the problem is about with the router ID, then whatever that IP address the neighbor one router has selected as router ID, it must be reachable to the other neighbor. How we make it reachable? Routing. You should advertise into routing. Either R5 should advertise it in its own routing protocol, that is IGP, or I can put a static route on R4. I can say, hey R4, 200, if you know where is 200, 200 is on R5, like that. But in your real exam, static routes, default routes are not permitted. In a real world, many people, when this is called as what? Last resort. Sometimes in a real world, things don't happen. So what happens? What administrators do? Because customers are always behind. So to save their backs, administrator what they do? They put static route, default route, and get the things working. But in your real exam, if something is not working, you cannot add a static or default route to make something work. So static routes and default routes, now you should never think of as a solution unless told. Whatever you have problems, you have to solve through your dynamic routing protocols only. Okay, keep this. If you are thinking of CCI, in CCI, your enterprise, CCI enterprise infrastructure lab exam, you should now onwards never think of solving anything by doing static or default routes, because static and default routes are not permitted in the real exam unless told. Cisco wants the candidates to solve the routing issues only through IGP and BGP. Only IGP and BGP you have to do whatever you have to do. Reachability between all the devices will be achieved only by dynamic routing, not by static routing or default routing. Okay, so this is what I did. That's the reason I advertised on R5. Okay, but if you remember yesterday what I said, I created this loopback and I said that this loopback is not supposed to be advertised in IGP. So this is one of the solution. Now again what I'll do, I'll go back to R4 and I remove this configuration. I go back to R5 and remove this route which I advertise it. This is just one solution. Suppose in the exam you have like this problem and they don't say anything, you advertise in the IGP. So this is one of the solution. But sometimes in the exam, as I said, they will give you a constraint. They will say that okay, this loopback on R5, the new loopback on R5, you are not supposed to advertise in your IGP. So that means then this is not the solution they are expecting it to do. So I now removed it, but neighborship is already formed. So once the neighborship is formed, they will remember each other. Okay, see the route must have been gone. The route is already gone from R4 now. Because I removed this thing, immediately R5 must have informed R4 that okay, R4 I don't have 200.5.5.5 any longer. See the route is also gone. Now again R4 does not know 200. But neighborship is there, but that neighborship will not remain for very long time. Because it is TCP based, right? So session right now the session is established, but if I now down the interface, if I go to now R5 and I go to that interface E0/1, okay, and I disable that. I remove MPLS again. Let's say I remove MPLS IP. I removed MPLS IP command, right? The MPLS is gone. Then I shut down the interface also. So if you see OSPF neighborship also will go down. So R4 says okay, this neighbor is down. Why? Because the TCP connection was closed by peer. So now the TCP session is gone now. Okay. Let's see what MPLS configuration is there on R5. Yes, the label range command from yesterday is still there. Okay, no problem. Now I bring up the interface again up. So once I bring up the interface again up, what happens? Line protocol comes up. OSPF IGP convergence takes place, right? IGP convergence also takes place now. Again, R4 does not know where is 200. And now if I go to R5 and if I enable MPLS, again, what will happen? Again, R5 will select what router ID? Again, 200, it will select the router ID. Again, it will start sending hellos. Both receive the hellos. Again, they try to establish the TCP three-way handshake. TCP is failing now. TCP basically T stands for what? Transport, right? So the transport is failing. How to solve this now? Again, the problem. Again, show MPLS LDP neighbor. Again, only one neighbor. R4 and R5 will never form neighborship now. So what was the solution? Advertise that whatever router ID R5 has selected, that IP must be reachable. Make it reachable to R4. How? By advertising into IGP. But that was the solution, first solution. But now I said, let's say you're told in the exam, do not advertise this loopback. Create a loopback on R5 IP address 200 and do not advertise in IGP. Then what to do? If you don't advertise in IGP, then R4 will never learn about this route. And if R4 does not know about 200, then they will never form neighborship. So what to do now? What is the second solution to solve this neighborship problem? The second problem to solve is what? No, static. I said no. Just now I told you, never ever think of static. If you always come with, if you are thinking of solving anything by static, trust me, your CCI number is very far. Don't ever think of static. Always assume that you are not allowed to do static. So now I'm not allowed to do static. I'm not allowed to even advertise in IGP. What is actually the problem? R5 has selected an IP for router ID which is not known to R4, right? Is R5 having other IPs? Is R5 having other IPs, other loopback? Yes. Is this loopback, is this loopback IP reachable to R4? So let me do a ping and see whether R4 has reachability to another IP of R5. Yes, this IP is there. So suppose if we tell LDP, hey LDP, by default you're correct. You're selecting highest IP address as the router ID. But can we manipulate the router ID? Yes, every routing protocol gives you that freedom to manipulate or set a router ID manually, right? So the second solution in LDP neighborship issue is what? If the router ID is not reachable, change the router ID to an IP which is known, which is reachable to the neighbor. How we do that? Global mode. We say MPLS LDP router ID, and then you see you cannot put an IP address. You have to specify what? The interface whose IP address you want to use as router ID. So what I want to use this one. This one is what? Loopback 0. So I have to specify here what now? Loop 0. Don't go to the loop, okay? No need to type loopback and all. Just see, remember, everybody knows loop. Done. Yes, see the command got accepted. And let's see now. Let us wait. Let us see what happens. So if I do MPLS LDP router ID, I'm telling hey LDP, you have to use loopback 0 as router ID. So LDP says okay, okay master, I obey you. So if R5 is obeying my command, then they should have formed neighborship. Let us do why they are not. Again, I will do a debug. Let us do now debug here. Again, let us on R5 only will do debug. Do debug IP packet detail. Do and all. Stop the debug. Again, go through the debug output and see what exactly is happening. So if you see sources, this is protocol number 89 means this is OSPF. I'm not interested in OSPF. I'm interested in what port this port numbers what 646. See over here I have 646. So this is what a UDP hello from R5. So when R5 is sending hello, that time in the source IP it is putting what its interface IP, but inside the hello it is sending what router ID, right? Router ID is sent in the hello, and now if both receive each other's hello, see R5 is also receiving a hello from R4, UDP hello, see UDP 646 from R4, destination 224.0.0.2, and then now some problem is happening. We see now what TCP. Now they are moving to what TCP session, and in TCP session, what is happening? Again, R5 is sending what source 200 dot. That means R5 is still having that router ID. So this is like normal behavior in any routing protocol. If you change the router ID, what happens? The router ID is not changed immediately. In OSPF, if you change the router ID, you have two options. Either after changing the setting the new router ID, what you should do, save the configuration and restart the router, right? That is one solution. Or in OSPF, we have a command by which instead of restarting the router, we can reset the routing process, right? Clear IP OSPF process command. But do we have like that? So now I did the command. R5 LDP says, okay, I'll use now router ID loopback 0, but it has already selected a router ID, so it doesn't do immediately. So let us see now, do I have any option by which I can, reset? Because if I save and reload, then this will be like, dangerous in a live environment, right? You cannot reload a router in a live environment. No routing process, not clear the routing, because it is not an issue of routing. Even if I clear the routing process, what will happen? Route is not advertised. It is a problem of what? LDP router ID change. I'm telling LDP to change the router ID. LDP says no. Once my process is running, in a running process, I cannot change my router ID. If you want me to change, either you save your configuration and restart the whole router. Once you restart the whole router, the LDP process will restart again, new. That time the router ID can be changed. But then I can't do restart. So do I have a command? Do I have a command by which I can, restart the LDP process? Clear MPLS LDP. Let's see. Neighbor what? Star, like, clear IP BGP star, like that command. So let us see this command solves the problem. Maybe I clear 3-4 times. Let's see here. Immediately message should come now. Neighborship. So what we observe, this even doing clearing, the neighborship is not getting established, because this if you see the command, if you see this command, the command is basically to clear a neighbor. Right now R5 does not even have any neighbor, so this command is useless. Because after LDP, what was my option? Only neighbor. Was there an option for process? No. So I cannot reset. It's a problem of a process. The process needs to be restarted, reset. So let us see whether any other command is there. Clear LDP command is there. If I put question mark LDP, there is no such command LDP. Clear, let us see. Clear IP LDP command is there. No, clear IP LDP command is also not there. Clear MPLS question mark. If you see, maybe these are all related to something. Maybe let me see it. Let me try IP command. Clear MPLS IP question mark. Maybe it is talking about something else. Even if I try this also, let us see what it says. It is only counter clearing. Even if I do this, somebody does that with still what is happening? Are they forming neighborship? Now what is the other thing now? Some people what they are suggesting me, they're telling me that remove the LDP on R5 and restart the LDP. Okay, that is also a good thing. So let us try that first. Go to the interface. E0/1. Remove MPLS. I say no MPLS. IP. So now MPLS gone. LDP gone. MPLS gone, LDP gone, but my that router ID command, is it still there in the configuration? Let's see. Section MPLS. Yes, that command is still there. So now interface E0/1. If I shut down the interface, then what will happen? See, somebody is telling me can we bounce the interface. So if I shut the interface, yes, that also maybe will work. But think what will happen. Are there other features also enabled? Yes. So if you are shutting down an interface, maybe LDP problem will get resolved, but till the time the interface comes up again, till that time some other some other features are also getting unnecessarily affected. So to solve the problem of one feature, you cannot disturb other features. Like OSPF neighborship will go down. So whatever your solution should be such that it does not disturb a live environment. So again I go to interface E0/1, and now let us try with MPLS IP again. So again I remove MPLS, I enable MPLS again, and let's see now what happens. So I went to the first, I removed MPLS IP, LDP I removed. Now I am again enabling LDP MPLS, right? Did the problems got solved? Still not, the problem did not get solved. Show IP MPLS, still not there. So now my only option will be like how somebody said, okay, bounce the interface. So let us see. We are not in a real environment. We are in a lab environment. In lab environment, we can easily bounce an interface. Okay, go to the interface. Or if you are in a real environment and if you want to do, see in a real environment, the best thing is what? Take downtime and save the configuration and reload the router. Or you can do shutdown also. Okay, so the best solution will be what? Again, first I will remove MPLS, and then I will shut down also the interface, keep the interface down for some time. So if you see now, interface has gone down, line protocol down. See, the other features got affected. If you have OSP gets affected. If you have maybe BGP might get affected. If you have tunneling might get affected. So many features. If there are already existing other features, all the other features will get. So in a live environment, in a real one environment, this is not a good solution. Okay, if you want to do this, then proper downtime has to be there. You cannot do it in a live running environment. Let us go to the customer. If you see, yesterday the customer was what, R1 and R6. If you remember, I was doing a ping from R1 10 dots is dots source 10 dot 1 dot 1 dot 1 repeat count 100,000. So this ping should work, right? See, if I make that interface down, what will happen? This ping is not going to work. Or what is the purpose of MPLS? The purpose of MPLS is what? Just to speed up the existing, travel of the travel of the packet. The transport of the packet should become what? Little faster, and that is the aim of MPLS. Move the traffic little faster. It's not, the aim of the MPLS is not to break the connectivity, to stop the traffic. Now see, to solve MPLS problem, we down the interface, customer's connectivity is gone. At least without label, the packet traffic should go. Even though it is going slowly, it doesn't matter, but at least the traffic is going. Users are accessing their servers, applications. Now, not like that. So, okay, let us bring back the interface. No shut. So now IGP will come back. IGP will come back. There will be reconvergence. R5 will form neighborship with R4. Route exchange will happen. I think that ping will start now. If the convergence happens. Why still no convergence? There you see. So see, this traffic should not get disturbed of a customer. You're doing something to just, to make the traffic little faster. In making the traffic little faster, you cannot make the traffic stop. You want the traffic to flow. The traffic is already flowing. You want the traffic to flow more faster, not halting, stopping the traffic. So what solutions we tried? We told LDP that okay, don't use the other loopback. Use loopback 0 as a router ID, but it is not listening. I cannot restart the router. I cannot do shut no shut. I cannot bounce the interface. I can remove the MPLS. So I tried removing MPLS and I tried again configuring. Let us configure MPLS now. Again back. So let's see now this time, after bouncing the interface, at least now this time LDP, once it starts again, does it solve the problem? Is the problem solved? Still no neighborship. What to do? We cannot advertise in routing. We cannot think of static route. We cannot restart a router. We tried shutting down the interface, bouncing the interface. We tried removing the MPLS. We tried clearing. Still not working. Suppose this is OSPF. In OSPF, what was the option? Clearing the LDP process, clearing the OSPF process, right? Clearing the OSPF process changes the router ID. But now in LDP, we don't have any such command. So what will be your only option? My only option will be what now? If I don't know the solution, if my only option will be what? I save the configuration and restart R5. But that's dangerous, right? So do I still have any option left? Yes, you have an option in still there, without restarting the router, without resetting the process, without bouncing the interface, without removing MPLS. Whatever I did so far, without doing all this thing also, I can solve the problem. Now see the solution. Second solution. First solution, what was the first solution? The first solution is what? Routing. Solve the problem by routing. Advertise the whatever the router ID loopback is there. Solve the problem by what? by advertising that loopback. But now, as I said in the lab, they said don't advertise in your IGP, so you cannot do that. So see what is the solution now. What was the command I did on global mode for MPLS? I said MPLS, this is the command. I said MPLS LDP for router ID. You will select loopback of which loopback? Loopback 0, right? Just, you know, in that this loopback, in the same command, I repeat that same command, and now what I said, there is an option called as what? Force. And there you see it says TDP ID removed. So so this is something different from other routing or other people, other protocols. In OSPF, there is no such command force. See, forcefully, I can clearly tell when setting the router ID that time itself, in the end you put force. So when you set force, then it happens by force. Forcefully, I can tell. I'm telling LDP router ID loopback change to router ID loopback 0 forcefully. Whatever currently your loopback is router ID is there, forget that. Use loopback 0 IP, and you see neighborship is already there. And now you see what R4 says. R4 says is its neighbor with whom? Which IP of R5? Show MPLS LDP neighbor. So now two neighbors. So did I advertise that loopback 200 in IGP? No. Did I follow the instructions given to me? Yes. So following the instructions given to me, following the constraints, without changing the constraint, whatever they tell me, I do. Whatever they say don't do, I don't do. Whatever they don't say, I can do. So I did what? Router ID. So neighborship problem can be solved by what? Router ID manipulation. And in router ID manipulation, you should remember in LDP you have an excellent option called as what? Force. You can forcefully tell a router that hey router, use this loopback router ID, and I'm telling you forcefully, immediately with immediate effect change. You don't need to do any clear process. You don't need to say bounce and interface, right? But clear guys, fourth option is there. Now again I remove this command also. Now I remove the LDP router ID full command only I'm removing. Again I'm going to introduce the problem. Again I go to the interface and again introducing the problem. Let's say again the problem is there. Let me, what I do, I remove that MPLS. Let's say MPLS I remove now. No MPLS IP removed. Maybe I bounce the interface now because I totally want. I'm again trying to create the same problem. Why? Because I will again give you some constraints, and then we'll see what do I have another third solution for to solve the same problem. So one problem you can solve it by multiple ways. So sometimes in the exam, Cisco tells you that okay, you know, this is the problem, you are facing this problem, you can solve this problem, but you are not supposed to do this, you are not supposed to do this, that. So whatever they say don't do, don't do. Whatever they did not say, you can do. Whatever else, everything else is permitted. It's like deny, but in the end you have everything else permit IP. Same thing. If they say don't do this, don't do this, okay, we will not do those things. Rest all is permitted. So in your real exam, by default everything is permitted. But if they say don't do this, don't do that, then only those things are not permitted. If they say don't do static routing, okay, I'm not going to do static routing. Then I cannot do default route as dynamic routing, yes. But if they say don't do static routing, don't do default routing, don't do dynamic routing, then I cannot do static, default, or dynamic. Then I need to think of something else. So constant. Okay, let us get back the interface again. Let us see now. See the neighbor dead, timer formed, OSP also gone, neighborship LDP is also gone. Again I'm making it Let us bring back. So one single problem, two solutions I have shown you. Now the third, you'll see the same problem, but I'll show you a third problem now. Again, neighborship is up, OSPF neighborship is up. Again, I bring back MPLS on the interface on R5, and let's see now it remembers the last router ID or not. Let's see this time. It remembers the last router ID. Let's see if they form neighborship, that means good. See in OSPF also what has happened. You see router ID. See on R5 OSPF neighborship also. If you see what R5 is doing now, R5 selected 200.5.5.5, but in OSPF for R4 this IP is not needed. This router ID of R5 is unknown, right? But still neighborship forms. See, so in OSPF, even though your neighbor router ID is not reachable, is unknown, still you form neighborship. Why? Because there is no TCP. In LDP, why they are not becoming neighbor? Because whatever router ID the router has decided, it is using that IP for doing what? TCP, three-way handshake. And that is where the problem is happening. It is happening where? In TCP. TCP, T stands for what? Transport or transmission control protocol. So see, I again enabled, and again R5, the same problem is there. Again R5, once I again enable LDP, what happens? It goes, scans, it checks, is there any router ID command? No router ID command. So it says, okay, I have to decide the router ID. So it finds that there are two loopback. Again it selects what? 200, and now again there is no neighborship. See, again no neighborship. So how to solve this? First problem was what? Advertise that new loopback in IGP. That was one solution. Second solution would have been a static route. That is not permitted. Never think of like that. Third solution was what? Router ID manipulation. But now I say you cannot even do router. Don't advert. I'm saying, see, I'm giving the constraint. Do not advertise this loopback in IGP. Do not manipulate the router ID. So I'm giving two constraints now. OSPF, the neighborship is neither UDP nor TCP, because OSPF is a protocol, not a code application. It's not based on, it's a protocol number 89. So now what to do? I cannot now manipulate the router ID forcefully. I cannot do routing. So where is the problem now? What is the problem? R5 has selected 200.5.5.5. Okay, that is good. And then R5 is using this IP to establish what? TCP, right? TCP session. So if I tell R5, hey R5, okay, like OSPF, router ID, even if the router ID is unknown, no problem. So in LDP also, router ID, even if the neighbor router ID is unknown, not a problem. But that router ID IP address cannot be used for TCP. So I have to tell R5, hey R5, you know, you have selected 200.5.5.5 for router ID. Okay, no problem, good. Keep it same. doesn't matter. But don't use 200.5.5.5 for TCP session. Use some other IP which is known to your neighbor. Now what is known to the neighbor? R4, what is known? Are they directly connected to each other? Yes. So will R5 know the IP address of R4? Yes. Will R4 know the IP address of R5, the link IP? Yes. So if we tell R5, hey R5 LDP, okay, you have selected router ID, any IP address, we don't care. But if you want to talk to R4, if you want to become friend with R4, okay, when you are sending your TCP SYN packet three-way, if you want to do that TCP three-way handshake successfully, then don't use that unknown router ID. Use some other IP, and the best IP is what? The interface IP, the interface which is connecting to R4, because R4 will always know you by that IP. Correct? If you have two routers, if there are two routers, if they are directly connected to each other and we assign them IP address from the same subnet, then they'll be always pinging each other, right? Is the audio clear for everybody? Yes. So whoever is not able to hear me, the problem is on your side. So it is like R5. If somebody is not able to hear me, it's like you are like R5. Check on your side. You have to do your solution. So now the third solution is what? MPLS, let MPLS IP be there. What I will do, I'm already on that interface, the interface towards R4. I just do this command. I say MPLS LDP discovery transport address question mark, and I can specify an IP address which R4 knows. And what is the IP address of R5? 170.10.45. It's a link between 4 and 5, 45, and R5 IP address will be what? So I'm telling, here R5, you want to do LDP neighborship, you want to discover a new neighbor, okay. Use transport. Transport means what? See, T of TCP, because in TCP, T stands for what? Transport or transmission. One thing same. Transmission or transport is same. You're transmitting something. You're transporting something. So I'm telling, for this I'm saying use for TCP. For TCP, use this address. And once I do this now, what will happen? Router ID will not change. Router ID will still remain same. But now TCP session will become successful. 4 and 5 will form neighborship, and R4 will say, yes, I'm becoming R5. I'm becoming neighbor with you. And okay, you say you are 200.5.5.5, no problem, you can call whatever you like. So now if I do this, see on R5, it will become neighbor. What message will come? See, it will not change the route. This command is not changing. Please understand, this command is not changing the router ID on R5. Router ID is still 200. And now here neighborship message, that LDP neighborship message will come. In that you will see that R4 will say it is becoming neighbor with whom? Yes, it has, this command is on the interface only. And that's the reason I don't need to even specify the IP address. I can simply say interface. So it is telling use interface address for LDP transport address. Let us see. Is it one? Oh, see the mistake. See the mistake. Actually, the IP address is what? That's the reason I was surprised why they are not forming still neighborship. The IP address on R5 Ethernet E0 is 172.16.45.5. And what IP address I put here? Wrong IP address. So that's the better thing is what? If you have like this, instead of because IP addresses maybe we can do mistake. So instead of doing like this command, I can simply say what? Interface. Then you don't need to specify any name because you are already on that. So when I say interface, I'm telling use this interface where you are. So I'm putting this command where? On E0/1. So I'm telling use E0/1. Use this interface. Now see what happens. If you are specifying IP address, you should be careful. You specify the correct IP, and there you see neighbor. And if you see what R4 says, it is neighbor with 200. So this is like now OSPF. In OSPF also the IP is unreachable. The router ID need not be reachable. In LDP also router ID need not be reachable. The only thing is that whatever the router ID or router selects, then it uses the same router ID for even TCP also session. So that is where exactly problem. They are not able to do three-way handshake. So to solve the three-way handshake problem, we are telling, okay, use the for the transport address for the TCP, you need to specify the source IP. Use the interface IP. So three solutions, and this solution is the most important solution from your exam point of view. If in your exam like this problem is there somewhere between some device, then they will clearly tell you that don't advertise this loopback in IGP. Router ID should not be manipulated. LDP router ID should not be manipulated. So still neighbor with this. But if you see TCP connection here, see if in case of R4, R2 it says router ID of R2 is 2.2. And if you see for TCP also it is using 2.2. But for R4, this 2.2 is reachable. That's the reason this TCP was okay. But if you see here, he says, okay, my neighbor is this guy. But for TCP, he is using what? 45.5 command. No E0/3. Where E0/3? It is E0/1. R4 and R5, they're connected by E0/1. E0/3 is a different interface. Suppose I do now MPLS between router 2 and 5, then on E0/3 also I have to do. Otherwise, there also the problem will there. If I want R2 and R5 to become neighbor, then same thing I have to do on E0/3. Right now we are talking about 4 and 5. Clear guys, everybody? So now the problem is solved. Yes, the problem is solved. Okay, let us do the ping. Is the ping going successful now? Previously also it was successful. Now also it should be successful. Traffic should not get affected. If traffic is getting affected, that means instead of making the traffic faster, you are actually making the traffic fail, then nobody would have liked MPLS. So now is labeling happening in the cloud? Yes. If the packet comes to I just got a message on my screen that my internet connection is unstable. So there could be a problem. I don't know. Are you guys still able to hear me? Okay, okay, no problem. So we continue. So what happens? R1 from here sending packet up to here is what? Normal packet. From here label. Now R4 and R5 are also label neighbors, so they are labeling, and then R5 forwards this packet as what? Again normal packet, right? Reverse traffic, how it comes? Normal packet. Oh, I need to use a different color because here it will be like, same color. So again here it comes label. This guy also sends label. This guy also sends label. And then here it goes as what? Normal packet, because customers, they don't understand MPLS. So this is the, you know traffic flow. This is how the packet will flow in an MPLS cloud. If your MPLS cloud, all the routers you have configured MPLS correctly, then this is how that packet will flow now. The packet will not flow now normal packet. If now suppose there is no neighborship here, if there is no neighborship like R4 and R5 neighborship problem was there, then that time what happens? When the packet comes to R4, now R4 says, okay, I don't have any LDP neighbor. R5 is not my LDP neighbor. So how we send the packet? Normal packet. Because see, traffic you cannot drop, because what was the purpose of doing MPLS? To speed up the packet. Instead of speeding the packet, if R4 does not send the traffic, makes no sense. Same way R return traffic from R5, how it will come? When it comes here, it will be like what? Normal packet. And after that, so wherever MPLS is enabled, there the packet will be what? Labeled. Wherever MPLS is not enabled, there the packet will go as what? Normal traffic. Makes sense to everybody? Okay, now next thing. Okay, see, before MPLS, what people used to have for their, for their connectivity, for their WAN, what people used to use before MPLS? Before MPLS, people used to have what? Like, before MPLS, people used to have like a WAN service called as what? Frame relay. Okay, before MPLS, people used to have WAN service what? Frame relay. Or before MPLS, people used to have what? Lease lines, dedicated lease circuits, lease lines, like that. This used to be the WAN for, maybe if we go back 20 years back, 20 to 15 to 20 years back, the WAN service used to be what? Most of the people used to have what? Lease lines or frame relay connections. Like that. In that frame relay, let me draw some diagram. All the things used to be there. See, like this, a customer used to have a router in one location, one branch. This used to be their LAN. Okay, and then you have another branch. The other branch, this used to be your router. This is your other LAN. So LAN to LAN, when we connect, we call it as what? WAN. So what customers used to do, as I said, they used to take connection from where? Let's say they take a connection from a frame relay service provider. So what used to happen? They used to have this connection here. They used to have this connection here, like that. And now in this connection, what used to happen? Here we used to put what? Some IP address. Let's say I put the IP address 170.10. Let's say this is router 1. This customer router 1, and let's say this is customer router 6. Let's say. So maybe now frame relay used to be this. This service used to be what? Layer 2 service. So in layer 2 service, you here you're not connecting to any router here. So this interface of R1 is not connecting to any router. So that means it is as good as what? This router is connecting, R1 is connecting in frame relay as good as what? Directly connecting to where? R6. So that's the reason, suppose I put this subnet IP address here 172.16.1.24. Over here the IP address has to be what? 16.6 slash. That means it is as good as what? R1 and R6 are directly connected. Even though they are connected to this cloud, and through this, this cloud is, as for R1 and R6, it is as good as what? Transparent. This cloud is like transparent, it's not existing. Same thing used to happen for what? Another WAN service that is called as what? Lease line. Lease line basically means what? You take up a connectivity from where? A PSTN network. In this also, again, this used to be what? Same. You put, I'm just going to write here, let's say now 16.1 same IP, and here also 16.6 IP. That means in this WAN services, the service provider used to not come in the path of the customer routing. That means now R1 and R6 IP addressing service provider, a customer has to decide. Routing also customer will decide. Service provider does not know any routes. They don't carry any routes of the certain customer. Here also they don't carry any routes of the customer. So it is as good as what? Direct connection. That's the reason it is called as, it used to be called as what? Dedicated circuits. These used to be what? Lease lines are like what? Dedicated physical circuit, and frame relay is like what? Dedicated virtual circuits. This is DVC. This is like PVC. So if any time, suppose if I do a trace, if I'm doing trace from R1, I used to see always what? My router on the other end, like that. I used to see what? Only my router on the other end. Okay. There are certain things which are right now beyond the scope of this syllabus. Okay. If some of you guys want to learn about layer 2 MPLS, if you want to know about metro ethernets, all that thing, that is part of what? CCI service provider track. You need to come for my CCI service provider course. Then I can teach you everything MPLS. Right now we are doing which course? CCI Enterprise. In CCI Enterprise, you have basic MPLS introduction. So you have only layer 3 MPLS, basic layer 3 MPLS VPN. So layer 2 VPN, metro Ethernet, Atom, blah blah blah, doesn't make sense. That is not part of your syllabus. That it's not that I can't teach. I'm teaching. I can teach CCS service provider also. If some security issue is there, I can teach. You need to come to my CCS security batch. In that case, there I can teach you CCS security in depth. Like as I told you, DM VPN we have done. I can teach you remote access VPN, SSL VPNs, web VPNs, get VPNs. There are so many kinds of VPNs. Additionally to your site-to-site VPN, Flex VPN, and DM VPN. So whatever is there in your syllabus, I'm trying to provide you that. Okay, coming back to this. So what happens here? So now suppose this was the scenario, and now you have a third company, which is what? MPLS. But now in this MPLS, what the company is telling? See, customer, okay, we have what used to be a problem here. If there is any problem here in this cloud, in the frame relay cloud or in the PSTN cloud, what used to happen? Customer used to lose connectivity. Dedicated lease lines. If there is a physical failure in the service provider cloud, there used to be what? There used to be what? Disconnection. But if you see MPLS now, let me first show you MPLS. See here MPLS topology hour. In this MPLS, if you see, I have done what? Redundancy. Suppose the link between router 2 and 4 fails, then what will happen? Traffic can go through what? Router 2 to 5. Redundancy. That means this MPLS cloud is what? A redundant cloud. So this is what is the service provider. The sales people of MPLS service provider, they will tell the customer, you are using lease line. First of all, you are paying, very high price for that lease line. Even though you're paying high price for the lease line, whenever there is a failure in your service provider cloud, what happens? You lose your connectivity. But suppose if you take our MPLS connectivity, if you take our MPLS service, we have our network, redundant network. We have a redundant network. That means anytime there is a failure anywhere in our cloud, our network will automatically reconverge, and there will be always another path ready as a backup. So you will never experience any disconnections if you take this service. So this is what the customer will like, and that's the reason, like as I said, no, way back in 15 to 20 years back, MPLS started becoming popular. Customers started switching from their traditional WAN services like frame relay, lease lines. They started slowly migrating to MPLS. And today, if you can see, it's like frame relay is almost obsolete. In fact, maybe somewhere in 2014, I think, if I remember correctly, maybe 6 years back, Cisco stopped asking CCI candidate, you know, questions about frame relay. So till 2014, frame relay was part of CCI routing and switching. In 2014 or 2015, the new when the new version was of routing switching CCI was introduced, they removed frame relay from the syllabus. And today it's like almost everybody is using what, MPLS for everything, even for internet also. The MPLS has become one of the most popular technology. It is compared to lease lines and all, it was economical, and at the same time, you're getting like free of cost redundancy. Previously, in case in the 15 to 20 years back, if you had a lease line, if that lease line fails, you're gone. So for a backup, customer had to take another connection. They had to pay extra to take another connection. Now, without paying extra in the same thing, and what customer says, what service provider says, okay, this is what is there. And in MPLS also, customer will say, this service, service provider will tell the customer, hey customer, listen, this service what you have taken from us, but actually if you see now, you have a router here, you have a router here now, so it's a routed network. So this is what is the difference. Previously these were all layer 2 networks. Now here basically it's a routed network now. This is a routed network. Why? Because this MPLS cloud is made up of what? Layer 3 devices. It's a routed network now. And in routed network, suppose let's say this R1 is where, in Mumbai. Okay, and let's say this R6 is where, let's say R6 is maybe in Delhi, let's say. So basically this customer Mumbai router is actually connecting to customer service provider where, in Mumbai only. So this will be Mumbai network, right? And this will be like Delhi service provider P. But if you see now, are the Mumbai and Delhi routers or service provider directly connected? Maybe, may not be. If you see my topology, if you see this topology, R3 and R5, are they directly connected? No, they're not directly connected. There are like, if I name this now, let me now name here now. This is like, as I said, let us name this. This is Mumbai, so this is also Mumbai. This is Delhi, so this is also Delhi. Okay. So when service provider is selling this service to customer, what he tells the customer, see, your Mumbai router is connected to my Mumbai router, your Delhi router is connected to my Delhi router, and sir, you know what, we have created, we have put a direct path, we have done a direct connection, we have kept a dedicated connection for you, so that whenever you send the traffic from my Mumbai router will go directly to my Delhi router, and from Delhi router to your Delhi router. So customer becomes happy, says, okay, very good, very nice. But do you see, if you see here, this is just like, false story. The service provider sales guys are telling a customer. In reality, R3 is not directly connected to R5. It is connected to what? Like maybe from Mumbai, it is going to, let's say, Baroda. and then from Baroda, maybe let's say this is Jaipur, and then finally from Jaipur to Delhi. So this is the actual path. But now the service provider engineers or service provider customer sales guys are telling what? Fooling the customer. They're telling the customer, no, no, we have a, we have a direct connection for you guys, for you customer, sorry, customer. You are an important customer, so we are putting up a direct link between our Mumbai and Delhi exclusively for you. And now the customer, changes from maybe lease line to MPLS, let's say. So this is a false, right? This is false. This is wrong information. Mumbai and Delhi service provider routers are not at all connected. So now what happens? The customer engineer, this customer engineer is like maybe a technical guy. He says, okay, these guys are telling us like that. So let me do a test. Let me do a proof. Let me check. Is it whatever this guy, sales guys of this service provider, that they're telling us that they have a direct link? Let me check. What he does now? He does a trace from R1. He says trace. I'll do a trace from my end to the other end. So he says trace 10.6.6.6 source 10.1.1.1 numeric. Now what happens? You see the trace, what it says. It says R1 says the packet is landing, going to first where? Mumbai. This is Mumbai. Then it is going where? Baroda. Then it is going where? Jaipur. Then it is going where? This is Delhi, 45.5 R5 in Delhi. And then finally it landed where? On R6, Delhi. Now the service provider, the customer engineer says, hey, what is this? Service provider told us that my traffic will start from Mumbai. It will go to Mumbai. From Mumbai to Mumbai it will go. And then from Mumbai it should go to where? Delhi. And from Delhi to Delhi it should go. What is this? What is this? These two IPs coming in between. Who are these? That means this proves that the traffic is not directly going in the service provider cloud from Mumbai to Delhi direct. They don't have a direct path. So now the customer engineer calls up the service provider. Service provider, you guys told us that for us there is a direct connection between Mumbai and Delhi. Now when I did this trace, this is the output. He takes a photo and sends a WhatsApp to the service provider. Now what happens? He says, no, you promised us direct connection and we don't see a direct connection here. That means you are sending our traffic, it's like a tour of India. Our traffic was supposed to go directly Mumbai to Delhi. You are sending our traffic, around around the world, or a tour of India. It's going from Mumbai, from to Baroda, maybe Surat, Baroda, like that, Jaipur, Ahmedabad, like that, blah blah blah, and then finally it is going to my Delhi. This is not good. We want a direct connection. Otherwise, we'll discontinue your service. This is violation of our service level agreement, SLA. So now what the sales guy does? Sales guy is in trouble because he sold the service with a false promise. So now he calls up the technical team of service provider. Says, hey, technical team, see one of this customer, he's a very smart. This engineer of this customer, he's a smart guy. He has identified the truth that there is no direct link between Mumbai and Delhi. So we'll lose this customer if we don't do anything. Is there any problem? Is there any solution for this? Can we still fool the customer? So service provider engineers, they say, okay, if the customer is acting smart, we'll act double smart now. Okay. Now see what the service provider engineer does. He says, which customer is creating problem? Customer 1. Which side? Mumbai. So Mumbai engineer has called the problem. Okay. Which router is connected to this customer in Mumbai? Which router is connected to customer in Mumbai? R3, right? So now this is what the service provider engineers they do. If you guys remember what I said earlier, in that MPLS label field, how many fields are there? 4 fields are there. Label, then BS field, then experimental field, and the last field is what? TTL. And the TTL, what I said, whatever the original IP address TTL value is there, that same TTL value is copied in the MPLS TTL field to ensure that loop prevention does not take place. And you are this trace route works on what? TTL only. So now what I do now, see what the service provider is doing on the R3. He goes through the interface and he's telling MPLS, hey MPLS, by default, what you're doing, you're copying the TTL value of the IP packet into the MPLS packet. So I'm telling you now, don't do that. Don't copy the TTL value of the IP header into the MPLS label header field, MPLS TTL field. What is that command? The command is no MPLS IP propagate TTL. Finish. So what you see, then the command itself is what? MPLS, do not propagate the TTL. Do not copy the TTL value of what? IP into where? MPLS. MPLS means label. So IP means IP packet. IP packet TTL value is not to be copied inside the MPLS label. So once you do this now, and now see what happens. Customer, now the service provider engineer, now the sales guy of service provider, what he says, he calls up the customer. Service provider engineers tell the sales guys, no problem, we have taken care of your customer. Call up the customer and tell him, sir, actually you have a direct path only. Your traffic is actually direct path only, Mumbai to Delhi only. But if you remember, I also told you one thing, that whenever there is a failure, if there is a failure in our cloud, your traffic will not get affected. Your traffic will always flow. So whenever failure, it will go through an alternate path. So this trace, what you're showing me, is actually an alternate path. Our engineers are working on the problem, and now they solve the problem. Now your direct path is again available. So now you again do a trace. So now the customer engineer is doing this trace now again, and now see what happens. See the trace before, and now see the trace. The trace started from where? Mumbai, right? This is Mumbai. Landed where? On service provider Mumbai. Landed where? Next trace shows what? Service provider Delhi. And finally you see like that. Mumbai, Delhi, Delhi. Customer is happy. This is very good. Yes. So service provider is telling, see, this is the advantage of MPLS. Whenever there is some failure, whenever our network is having some failure, your traffic still goes. Maybe it is going a little slower this time. It is going through a longer path, but that is the redundancy. Now you see, now your traffic is going directly Mumbai to Delhi. Customer is happy, but customer is still having some doubt. So what the customer engineer of Mumbai engineer does, he calls up his Delhi, admin. He calls up his Delhi admin. He said, hey Delhi guy, you do one thing, can you do a trace? Can you do a trace? So Delhi says, okay, let me see. So there is R6 over here. So now customer double smart. And now from there, what is the output we are getting? This is Delhi, lands on Delhi, then Jaipur, maybe Baroda, or maybe Surat, then lands on Mumbai, and finally yes, sometimes some customers are problematic. They, sometimes the administrators or customers are too technical. So now what happened? He sent the output. Now customer again R1 calls up the service provider. Hey service provider, you guys told us the problem is solved. And now when I'm doing the trace, the traffic is going from Mumbai to direct to Delhi. But when the traffic is coming, the reverse traffic is coming. They are coming from Delhi to Mumbai, not directly. It is still going through a tour of India. What is this? So what immediately the service providers will tell? Sir, we told you, now you already have a direct path. Our engineers are working. Now the problem on the Mumbai side is done. The problem on the Mumbai side has been solved. Our Delhi team are also working. Don't worry, I'll call you. I will myself give you a call. Don't worry, just wait. Give me some. Our engineers are already. They already dug the hole. They already removed the faulty cable. They're working. Now again, service provider, sales guy, what he says, he calls up whom? The technical team, and says, now from the Delhi guide, now the customer is doing a reverse trace. Okay, reverse trace. Okay, no problem. So they now disable what? The TTL propagation even where on the Delhi side. Once you do that, what happens? Now immediately sales guy calls up the customer. Customer, see, I told you, our engineers, our team is so hardworking. They always try to resolve the problem as quickly as possible. See, I was talking to you and my team. They already solved the problem. They replaced the faulty cable. They replaced the router, something like that. Now your traffic will go Mumbai to Delhi directly, Delhi to Mumbai directly. Clear? Now everybody, we all know that what happens, what is why we use trace route. Trace route is we use many times. We use ping and trace for what? Troubleshooting, right? We use trace route for what? Troubleshooting. Now suppose there is a real problem. Let's say in the MPLS cloud, let's say there is a real problem somewhere. So now what happens? The service provider engineers, they have to solve the problem in their own cloud. So service provider engineers can do a trace. Can they do a trace? So suppose now I'm doing a trace from R3 to R5. There is a problem, something. Okay, there is a problem. So now service provider engineers, they are doing a trace from R3 to. So I'm doing a trace to where R5 IP address. Look back, 172.16.5.5. Source R3's own look back, 172.16.3.3 numeric. What is happening? Now you see, they try to hide the information from the customer. Now service provider's information is also getting hidden. See, now this trace is giving a false output for the customer. R3 thinks now R5 is directly connected. So is this good? So if you have what the command, what I have done this, if I do this command, okay, for the customer is getting fooled, but at the same time now service providers also will get fooled. And if you have like this output, if there is a real problem in your cloud, then troubleshooting will become difficult. Then here I'm just showing, just imagine 3-4 routers in a big environment. There could be maybe hundreds of routers along the path. Possible? Yes. So is this a good practice? No. What will be the expectation of service providers? Service provider expectation is what? If customers they do the trace, then their trace should not open up the service provider cloud. They should not see the real picture of the service provider cloud. But if service providers they themselves do their own trace, they should get what? The real picture of their cloud, because that is their own network. They want to, for troubleshooting, you need to have a real picture. So what to do? Do I have a solution for this? Yes. If I do trace from R3 to R5, I should see the real picture. Mumbai, Baroda, Jaipur, Delhi, like that. Customer will do the trace, they should see only Mumbai to Delhi. So I want, it's like killing two birds with one stone. Do I have a solution? Yes, I have a solution. What I do now, see, I go back to that command. What I did, I enable back the TTL propagation. Once I enable back the TTL propagation, what happens now? If now customer is going to do the trace, it will be, the true picture, real picture, right? So this is what will happen. This is not good. If I do the trace, let me also do the trace. Do so see, for now everybody is getting the real picture, true picture. But what is my requirement? My requirement is what? If we do the trace, real picture, customer do the trace, that means this TTL propagation must be disabled only for whom? If the traffic is coming from outside, if the trace packets are coming outside my cloud, then they should get the fake picture. But if the trace is initiated within my cloud, then the trace must be what? Real picture. So what is the solution? The solution is the same command. No MPLS IP propagate TTL, but in the end, see, you have two options, forwarded and local. What I'll do, I'll just put forwarded option. If you don't, when I did not put anything, what happened? It disabled for both. Local means what? Local trace information, local IP propagation, and forwarded basically means what? External trace. So I'm telling now what instruction I'm telling R3. Hey R3, you don't propagate the TTL value when if it is forwarded, trace. Finish. Now see again. Up arrow. So see, customer is getting what? Fake picture, fake output, not real. And now, what about service providers? When service providers, they are doing their local trace, they are getting the real picture. Job done. Finish. So now your cloud is not open to outsiders. This is just a story I'm telling. In a reality, this is unethical. Like, you cannot fool a customer. Whatever reality is there, you should explain the customer. But then still service providers, they do, even if the reality is known, even if everybody knows that okay, the traffic is going to go, through Mumbai, not directly to Delhi, but that doesn't mean I want to show, internal of my network. Customers should be aware only which IPs of my network, the IPs of my P. See, R1 should only know R3's IP, and R5 IP should be known. R3 and R5 IP only should be visible to a customer. The P routers only must be visible. The P routers, the core routers should never be visible to any customer, because I don't want my internal IP addressing to be known. They should not know what is my internal IP addressing. Clear, guys? So that's the reason many service providers will do this command. So they'll keep the TTL propagation disabled for the customer, but for their own TTL, own trace route, it will not be disabled. So this is also something part of your basic MPLS.